First and foremost, I want to give all praise to Yahawah, bashem, yahawashi, double honor to the great millstone, and salutation to all achyam on the highways and byways bidding to the marriage. I'm going to get Psalm 50, chapter 55, verse 21. You know, and get more on Esau, his characteristics, or the so-called white man. The characteristics of the so-called white man links up with Esau, the scriptures. But I want to start off, the words of his mouth were smooth than butter. He talks all nice and kind. Probably make a trade or whatever. But war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. He's a liar. Behind his tongue, behind his mouth is always some type of wickedness. Whether that be through a disease, smallpox, or with the sword. I get more on this. You can't say the white man is not the wicked. I'm gonna get to the death toll of the Native American. Indigenous people north and south were displaced, died of a disease, and were killed by Europeans through slavery, rape, and war. In 1491, about 145 million people lived in the Western Hemisphere. By 1691, the population of indigenous Americans had declined by 90 to 95%, or by around 130 million people. During the 1700s, smallpox killed at least 30% of the West Coast Native Americans. The smallpox epidemic, 1780 to 1782, brought devastation and drastic depopulation among the Plains Indians. They now believe that the widespread epidemic disease, which the Native had no prior exposure or research, was the primary cause of the massive population decline of Native Americans. One reason is this death toll overlooked is that when introduced, the disease erased the head of European immigration in many areas. So Esau, syphilis. Esau, you already know, he's a devil. Even back then, he created stuff like this. Come on. No one else fights with germ warfare. No one. He's not a man. He's a coward. He can't fight. Look, this is what he does. He creates diseases. He can't, this is how you know he's Esau. And his blessing was a sword. You could take the sword. And it doesn't even have to be an actual physical weapon. It could be diseases or whatever. Esau trying to block the sun. That's a war on anybody. He can weaponize. I'm not saying Esau did accomplish that. They're trying to fund a project, trying to block the sun for whatever reason. But I want to get this. There's a question that said, where did syphilis come from? This theory holds that syphilis was a New World disease brought back by Columbus, Martin, Alonso Pinzon, and or other members of their crew as unintentional part of Columbian exchange. Columbus' first voyages to America occurred 3 years before Naples syphilis outbreak. Before that all happened, 3 years he came by. deadly viruses are at it again. This time they are creating new viruses and bacteria in their laboratory. Scientists usually prefer altering already existing or extinct bacteria viruses to produce new strains that will defeat our immunity and vaccines and drugs. Sometimes they prefer creating new viruses and bacteria from scratch. However, these strains are not always dangerous to humans, even though they could be deadly to animals like mice, even to other like mice and to other bacteria. It's not as potent as it used to be. It's all the devil. You know, Esau created that polio. So this is what they're saying they're making in labs. Rabies virus hybrid. What? Where the hell? What rabies virus hybrid? What is this? What? Now they got mixes between two different. Oh my gosh, Esau, man, you need help. You need to put him in a cage. Someone start poking at him. He acts like an animal. You can't really blame animals for being animals like lions and stuff. He's an animal, and he can't conduct himself as a reasonable person. Alright, let's get this. It is closely related to stars and it spread from bats to camels and finally to humans. MERS infected 1,800 people at this time of its first epidemic and killed over 630. Its fatality rate is around 35%. As we mentioned in the previous entry, SARS infected over 8,000 people during a 2003 epidemic, but killed just over 700. These are the devil, man. Look at this, man. The whole world. I don't know how, how do you not know that this is the man? Look at this, 10 deadly. They even telling on themselves. The best thing about the internet is that Esau's being discovered through his own technology, through his own, Alright, let me get that scripture. Second Corinthians chapter 13, verse 8. For we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. And that's true. You can't do nothing against it. Esau created the internet, created YouTube, created TV, just so Jay can be distracted by what's on it. Music, sports, or whatever. Clothes, advertising, anything and everything. But Esau didn't know that the Lord can just flip it. Everything is a two-edged sword. To anything, anything that's going against the Lord is a two-edged sword. It can work for you, and also it can go against you too. Isn't it? Through the media, this is how we find most of our information, on the internet. So Esau one day is gonna cut out the internet, like that's gonna change it. It's gonna be too late. What? For other people, because they've been busy doing what? I don't know, parties, the beach. People love taking boat trips and ship and planes and ships or whatever, cruises, private planes to other. Like, there's no time for that. You gotta get serious. People just like going on field trips and going to China, Europe, Jamaica. We don't. There's no time for that. Gotta get serious now. You don't got time to be traveling. I don't want to travel like this. Yeah, watch when I get stuck over there. I'm gonna get stuck in Dominican Republic and wonder where I am. And everybody speaks Spanish and you can't get back to America. I don't know nothing over there. Don't know the area. I'm gonna be stuck over there. I'm scratching my head like, wow. I'm gonna just say wow because there's nothing I could do because I don't. Lord's will I be in a country. At least I know the area of everything that goes down. Never know. I would not want to be in an area I don't know. You know. You can't do nothing against the truth before the truth, All the internet Esau made, the diseases killing his own people, meth. Esau put meth and heroin and drugs you know, in the hood for Jake. But now, guess what? His own people are taking him. Now it's an epidemic. Esau's a devil. He only cares about his own people. He's selfish and greedy. For we are glad when we are weak and ye are strong. And this also we wish even your perfection. One day that's all gonna change. We're weak now, meek. But the Lord, whoever the elect may be, may raise up the elect. Those will we be found in our number. You never know. Could always good to keep the faith. You know, be sober, be vigilant. I want to get the scripture again. 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walks about whom he may devour. Yeah, that's Esau. All the diseases he's making. Who else would he? You wonder. You don't know what else he could be planning right now. He's like a villain from a TV series. That's the way I see it. So he's like a villain. Always doing something. The devil. But he's the harbinger of death. Look what he did to the Native Americans. Look at this. Treaty of Paris, Battle of the Fallen Timbers, Trail of Tears. From U.S. Bureau of the Census in 1894, the Indian wars under the government of the United States have been more than 40 in number. Over the previous 100 years, they have cost the lives of about 19,000 white men, women, children, including those killed in individual combats, and the lives of about 30,000 Indians. The actual number of killed and wounded Indians must be very much higher than the given 50% addition. It would be a safe estimate. Freya, Friar and Antiochus and other dissenting Spaniards from the colony. And guess what? It wasn't even Christopher Columbus that discovered it. It said Spaniards. From the colonial period described the manner in which the natives were treated by colonials. This has helped create an image of the Spanish conquistadors as cruel and extreme. Great revenues were drawn from Hispaniola, so the event of losing manpower didn't benefit the Spanish crown. At best, the reinforcement of vanguards sent by Council of the Indies to explore the Caribbean country and other gather information on alliances or hostiles was the main goal of local viceroys and their adelantados. Although mass killing or atrocities were not a significant factor in native relief population, No mainstream scholar misses the sometimes familiar circumstances now believed to be precipitated by civil disorder as well as Spanish cruelty. The population of many Native American people reduced by the common practice of intermarrying with Europeans. Although many Indian cultures once thrived or are extinct today, their descendants exist today in some of the bloodlines of the current inhabitants of the Americas. In the history of European colonization of the Americas, an atrocity termed Indian Massacre is a specific incident wherein a group of people, military mob, or others deliberately kill a significant number of relatively defenseless people, usually civilian non-combatant, or to summary execution of prisoner of war. The term may refer to either killing of people of European descent by Native American or to the killing of Native American people by people of European descent or military. The United States in a catastrophe, 1846 to 1873, historian Benjamin Madley recorded the number of killings of California Indians between 1846 and 1873. He found evidence that during this period, at least 9,400 to 16,000 California Indians were killed by non-Indians. Most of these killings occurred in what he said were more than 370 massacres defined by him as intentional killing of 5 or more disarmed combatants or largely unarmed non-combatants, including women, children, and prisoners, whether in context of a battle or otherwise. Jamestown College Wounded Knee lawyer William Osborne compiled a list of alleged and actual atrocities in what would eventually become the continental United States from first contact in 1511 till 1890. His parameters for inclusion included the intentional and indiscriminate murder, torture, or mutilation of civilians. The wounded and prisoners, his list included 7,193 people who died from atrocities perpetrated by those of European descent. Look at this. Esau, man, who died from atrocities perpetuated by Native American. Esau's a coward, man. This makes me, this makes me mad. Even though this was gonna, even it was foretold that this was gonna happen through the scriptures, but at the same time, you can't deflect human emotions on how you would feel about your people getting massacred. This is not how slavery was supposed to be. It was supposed to be you get paid a certain amount for your service. Such as debt bondage, most widespread form of slavery today. Serfdom, domestic servants kept in captivity, certain adoptions in which children are forced to work as slaves, child soldiers, forced marriages. me see. I want to get the what they did. Estimate that between 147,000 and 340,000 Native Americans were enslaved in North America, excluding Mexico, even after the Indian slave trade ended in 1750. The enslavement of Native Americans continued in the West and also in the southern states, mostly through kidnappings. Slavery of Native Americans was organized in colonial and Mexican California through Franciscan mission, theoretically entitled to 10 years of native labor, but the practice maintaining them in perpetual servitude until their charge was revoked in the mid-1830s. I'm gonna get more into Jake. Half of the black slaveholders lived in cities rather than the countryside, with most living in New Orleans. Oh, this is not what I'm looking for. Still allowing African slaves with South Carolina after 1808. Legal importation. Uh, Cash and mark. The subscribers have leased for a term of years large 3-story house on the Duke Street in the town of Alexandria, D.C., formerly occupied by Jen Young. We wish to purchase 150 level, likely young Negroes of both sexes between the ages of 8 and 25 years. Persons who wish to sell will do well to give us a call, as we were determined to give more to any other purchasers that are in the market. Early in the United States, in the early 19th century, the female slaves could freely legally use them as sex objects. This follows free use of female slaves on slaving vessels by crews. Slaveholder has it in his power to violate the chastity of his slaves, and not a few are beastly enough to exercise such power. Hence, it happens that in some families it is difficult to distinguish the free children from the slaves. It is sometimes the case that the largest part of their master's own children are born, not of his wife, but of the wives and daughters of his slaves, whom he had basically prostituted as well as enslaved. Makes so sick, man. Yeah, that's it on that. I don't want to. This bothers me a little. I don't. Man, but yeah, I want to get Habakkuk. I want to get Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3 to 5. For the vision yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. You know, what we're hoping for, Esau going down, for everything he did, Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And we gotta wait for it. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. It's not upright in him. But the just shall live by his faith. That's yeah. Also because he transgresses by wine, he's a proud man. He needs to keep his eye on. He thinks he's gonna survive forever. Esau, the so-called white man, thinks he's gonna get away with everything he did, but he's not. He's the wicked. Everything. You know, everything he did to the Native American, to their women and children, to the Southern tribe, to their women, and not only to everybody, every man, woman. Esau is gonna suffer for everything he did. Not only to Jake, but to the whole world. You know, mutilating, robbing, raping, hanging.